All right, folks. This looks like we got most folks that are going to jump on here. So, hello all. My name is Joe Miller. Great to meet everybody. I'm glad that you all could attend here. Today, for this webinar, we're going to be kind of covering our latest release, covering some of the new features, how you can think about them, how you can use Polarity a little differently than what you've used it before in the past, because of some of these new features, and kind of how it will enable you to work better. Kind of an overview of what we're going to cover today. Again, like I said, new features. I'm going to do a live demo of some things. Also, kind of just have a list of new features for everybody. And then we have our community contributor of the quarter. Once a quarter, we do announce our community contributor. We'll be announcing that after the demo. And then following that, there'll be a Q&A session where folks can kind of ask questions of the product roadmap, any other things along those lines. And before we get started, we'll kind of do a plug for our community tech trainings. You can find all of the ones that were previously done as well as upcoming ones, and you can kind of follow along at polarity.io/CTT. And of course, if folks are not a community user, or some folks are community users, to get our community edition, which is just a free kind of a slimmer version of Polarity, you can get that at polarity.io/CE. So with that, kind of jump in, start covering some of the new features. Oh, I'm going too fast here. So some of the new features in our latest release are we have sticky headers. So that allows you to basically kind of see data better, navigate data better. We have kind of a better overall navigation within our overlay window. It allows you to take more actions with things, ignore, search, configure integrations, configure your accounts, preferences, and then also launch into the other windows that Polarity has all through that overlay window. Kind of is now the central point of Polarity, and I'll get into that in a minute. Native title bars, that's kind of a really big a new addition we have for the overlay window. Really kind of opens up a lot for the window and how users can use it. New quick actions, allowing folks to quickly run an on-demand search on entities that already exist. Kind of, again, that new way to use Polarity and search for data. Default colors, this is really for the admins that are here. You can set a default color for integrations, for channels that are created. So everybody kind of has a common ground for colors. Help docs have moved to a new location. Kind of show that and how easy it is to kind of see the help docs. If you want to develop an integration, it's all centrally co-located there. I'll cover a few new integrations that we have and talk about our a new release that we have, which offers SAML support, some kind of enhanced telemetry or logging of information. And then really excited that we now actually support a foreign language set in Russian Cyrillic. So with that, I'm going to kind of jump over here and start walking through some of these use cases for folks. So here, I'm not going to kind of really dive into this. This is just a kind of fishing example here. Using a ticketing system, you get a new ticket that comes through and how you can use Polarity in that information. So right now with Polarity, before I kind of jump into this is kind of the new look and feel of Polarity. And what I mentioned before is these new title bars that we have here. This is a really nice thing and kind of capability for Polarity. It allows you to use it in a lot of different ways. Since it is kind of a native app now, you can use shortcut keys. You can move it to the side. If you have multiple monitors, you can dock it to the corner to one monitor. You can close it. You can minimize it. Those type of typical actions. And just to kind of like really showcase the abilities, I'm going to start with Polarity in kind of a closed state. So what that means is that Polarity is not going to notify me of information unless I want it to. I'm going to turn kind of the stream mode on, and then jump back over here to this ticket and kind of walk through this ticket. So this is a really new way to use Polarity. You can use it where it's not kind of always up. You can have it kind of set aside somewhere and still understand that there's information that Polarity knows about things. So here's just a ticket. Again, had set stuff in stream mode. This ticket, I'm going to kind of just scroll through here, and you can see immediately that Polarity down here in the taskbar on Mac. And if you are on Windows, it'll be in the system tray. We have a new notification system. So if Polarity is in a closed or minimized state, you have it out of the way, you can know that Polarity has other information about what you're looking at. And if you are interested, you can very easily just navigate to that. So by the system tray, You can just come up here, click Polarity Overlay because it is in the closed state. So you will need to take an action to bring it back, or you can just double click here and then pull it back. And you can see immediately that Polarity knows quite a bit of information just about this little snippet that I have here, right? So one of the really, really exciting new features that we have, which I'd alluded to before, is kind of the sticky header navigation capability. So as you can see here, there's some information. Recorded Future knows some information about this domain. Somebody had annotated that there's some information on this email, which we've seen before. It's known for this exploit. But if I wanted to kind of drill in and see more information on it, you could just copy it. This is kind of showing a feature that we've had in our previous release, but just kind of showcasing that search capability again. If I wanted to know more about the CVE, you could very easily just copy and paste it. And if I have an on-demand integration running, it will kind of pull up for me. I'll kind of get into that in a minute and kind of jump around different integrations. So you can see here that it pulled back CVE search. But here, there's a lot of information about this IP. There's a lot to consume. There's a lot going on. We have information from our tip in MISP, from Recorded Future saying it's suspicious, hits a whole bunch of different rules. You can see that previously somebody had actually blocked this IP internally. They'd made that annotation. You can see that it's actually located in Houston, Texas. So with our new kind of sticky header navigation capability, if I really wanted to drill into information, I can very easily. So instead of clicking, oops, I did it too fast. Instead of clicking and having to scroll a lot, you can now just be like, all right, well, I just want to know what Recorded Future has to say about this. I can jump directly to that information and consume that data. And then since you can see here, we kind of summarize those data sources. If there's an annotation, we let you know what's an annotation. If it's in the integration, we pull that integration name in and let you know. So if there were more integrations here, you'd be able to see that. So you can very easily now just jump straight to that information and consume the data you need to consume to take that next action or that next step, which might be copying this information out, closing this ticket, whatever that may be. You can very easily just navigate around in here. So really excited about this new feature and functionality to be able to just more quickly consume that context that's there within Polarity. So another thing you can see here is there's some information on ServiceNow. But another kind of really nice quick action that we've added in here is we've always had our on-demand capability for the past 2 years or so, but we made it really easy to take this, and with on-demand integrations that we have now, I can run this and see if there's any other information that Polarity might know about it. And you can see I ran that, no other information came back. And why it didn't come back? Well, let me check my integrations. This is that kind of easier configuration piece that we have now, where right here, there's a new configure piece. You can very easily navigate and configure the integrations that you need to consume. So maybe you were doing a different investigation. You didn't need all your data sources. Now you can very easily come here, turn them on, subscribe to them. And for here, I'm going to want dig, see if dig knows anything. I'm going to want to turn on Shodan, maybe virus total as well, just to kind of see if there's any other information these sources might know about it. And then as you can kind of tell for current users, we have some different capabilities built in here. So now for regular users, instead of having to go to our configure window, you can actually configure the integrations right from the overlay window. So if your admin installs a new integration, you have to add your API key. You can very quickly just come in, click on the settings, and you'll see the settings that you have access to, and you can add in your API key that you'll need. You can also do the different actions as long as the admin has opened it up to do. So you can allow for virus total, for example, you can show a lot of different results or not show results and kind of tailor that integration much easier and much quicker, just right from the overlay window. Another piece that we have is kind of this discover more integrations. This links out to our website here, links you straight to our, whoops, okay, evidently I hit the wrong button. There we go, it pulled it behind it. It links you straight to our website in the integrations page. So you can quickly see any new integrations that we have. You can sort by different integrations. You can see the details on our website and things along those lines. So within this configuration window as well, we've kind of added a few different things and a few different tabs here. There's the preferences tab. This is what the overlay window used to default to. It's kind of how you can control the overlay window. You can set it's always on top or pin it on top. You can set it aside, pin it, and it'll always stay kind of there. Always on top is it'll always be on top of other applications. It won't kind of fade away. You can make it fade away. Or with our new kind of functionality built in, you can close it or minimize it and then take those actions to bring it back. We've also added in your account page. So very, very quickly just need to kind of configure your account, see what version you were on, see some other information. You can kind of tailor email notifications, annotation information as well, all right from in this overlay window. So we're over the next year or so, we're going to be kind of moving a lot of these different actions inside of the overlay window and just making configuring and kind of setting up and getting started with Polarity that much easier. So last little button I'll show here is this all settings. So what this does is this actually opens the new configuration window. So by default, when you first install Polarity, you're actually going to have, just going to be interacting with the overlay window now. You're not really ever going to be interacting with our configuration window. This is really kind of a set it up and forget it type thing. So right now, the only actions that you really need to do in here is if you're going to annotate in bulk, you can annotate your CSV just like you could previously, add a channel, subscribe and unsubscribe from channels. Right now, the channel piece is not in the overlay window, but we do have plans to move that towards the overlay window. So you can take those quick actions that you want to. Another really nice thing that we've added in here is this quick pivot piece. So if you are exploring channels and exploring that data, you can very easily quickly pivot back and forth between different channels and see what data is in that channel. Again, that was very much a community kind of driven feature, and really excited that we kind of got that into the platform. While I'm here, I'm going to cover kind of the default channel piece and default colors. So like I said before, we have this ability for default colors. If you are a channel admin or integration admin or a regular just Polarity overall admin, you have the ability to set these colors. So you can set it by default. Is what that means is anytime a new user comes in and has access to that channel, they'll be able to have that default color. So they don't really need to think about it, and everybody will be on the same page for what those colors are and what they mean. So this integration recorded feature, for example, is always this light color. This fishing channel is always this really dark color, and you can set that default color here. So for example, I want to set it to this dark pink, and you can do so. If you wanted to allow users to change the color, you just set the default color, and then users have the ability to change that and kind of tailor that color to whatever they want. However, if you want to lock it in, you can very easily do so by just hitting this lock default colors button. What that means is that every user will have that same color, and it will always be the same color, and they won't have the ability to change that. The only folks who can change it are, again, if they're a channel/integration manager and they kind of have ownership of that, or if you're a Polarity admin. So just wanted to kind of plug that. It's a really nice way for everybody to kind of get on the same page and consume the same information together. So that's kind of it around here. One thing I will point out kind of while I'm here is this help documentation. We've actually moved all of our help documentation out of the platform, and it's actually hosted now on docs.polarity.io. This help button will link you there, but instead of always going to the configuration window, you don't need to do that anymore. You can very easily just come here. There's a little help button in the overlay window. Click that. It'll direct you straight to the enterprise guide. If you are a community user and you're here, and click the help button, it will actually direct you to our community user guide, because again, they are kind of a little different. And then the one piece that I really want to point out here is if anybody is interested in developing integration, we do have integration trainings that we'll give and provide to let users know kind of how you develop an integration. But if you are already a developer, you have some scripting experience, or you know JavaScript very well, you can just look at our developer guide here, and this will walk you through how to create an integration, all the different ins and outs of an integration. That is all now hosted up on our docs.polarity.io website. So again, you can get to it from the overlay window here or from the configuration page. So those are kind of the pieces I wanted to hit kind of the navigation wise and how Polarity works from a navigation aspect. But now that I've kind of went through and subscribed to those data, I'm going to go back to that example I did before. I have this really nice quick action, which I ran before, but now I've subscribed to the information that I want to know more about, for example, right? So here I ran that, and now I have these on-demand integrations at my fingertips that much easier without having to jump around, which means I can just very quickly subscribe, unsubscribe, and then run that on-demand query to see if there's anything I need to know about dig or Shodan. And here with Shodan, you can see that port 53 is open, so it's a DNS, or with VirusTotal, right? You can see that there's a lot of different positives. You can kind of jump in here, look at the host name resolutions, etc., and have that more kind of information at your fingertips much more easily than what you used to before. So again, our whole goal here at Polarity is always to make this as usable and as easy as possible to kind of consume the information for you to take an action and then either close out that ticket, move on to the next thing, or really just respond faster. One One other nice little thing that we've added in outside of this little on-demand button from a quick action aspect is this more piece. You can actually copy entities. So before you would have to kind of go in here, you have to select it. It's kind of cumbersome to do so. Whereas now you can just copy this entity. So if I wanted to copy it and I wanted to search it in here, you could do so very easily. Just kind of another way to take those actions very quickly. And for folks that are newer users and had used the platform in the past, one thing I will show is this kind of clear button. You can very easily kind of tailor the window to your experience. And if you see Polarity.io on your screen or some domain that's yours, like mycompany.com, you don't need to see that anymore. You can clear it and then very easily just add that to your ignore list. So kind of along those lines with the ignore list, we have this new kind of built-in menu within the overlay window. Again, kind of hitting home that whole, I want to be able to jump out and kind of configure things after I've utilized in the window. So there's a lot of different kind of pages and windows that are accessible from this little drop down here. If you're a Windows user or a Linux user, it's going to be on the opposite side. It's because Mac and Windows have different sides for what their maximize, minimize, and close buttons are on. So if you wanted to jump to configure, you could do so. But here I'm going to jump to the advanced settings and kind of show you where the ignore manager is. So you can see here that I just ignored Polarity.io. Previously, I had ignored docs.google.com. So it allows you to kind of very quickly jump straight to that, see what I want to ignore. And of course, I'm always going to kind of point this out. We have our window manager here. So if you are running recognition in real time and you don't want to have information if you don't want to have recognition running on particular windows, you can very easily come in and temporarily ignore. That's what this top piece will do. It will temporarily ignore that window. Or you can ignore by title rule or application name. And these act as more of a kind of open-ended. So the really interesting thing is with like Chrome, for example, every single process, you can ignore chrome.exe, which will just ignore Chrome, or you can ignore every single window and you can do it by application name. So if you don't want it to run on one pass, for example, you could set one pass here and we won't run recognition on those. So just want to kind of give a plug for the ignore manager. And then one other thing that I kind of mentioned before, I'm going to kind of jump over into now, gonna reload this out, is we actually, on our latest 4.x clients, which support SAML, I'll kind of get into that in a minute, but we do support Cyrillic Russian recognition right now. To turn that on, you go to recognition settings. We have some other settings we've always had before, and there's a little drop down. You can have it just run recognition in English or run recognition in English and Russian. So English will always be a recognition piece on by default. So now that I've turned Russian on, if I have some Russian annotated or a system that actually recognizes it, we'll be able to kind of see that information. So here I'm going to turn highlight on. I'm going to go back here, just have some different kind of slang references annotated. And some, if you are kind of jumping back and forth, some nuances to point out here, it does take a few seconds for it to kind of recognize that, hey, yeah, this is a new language, for it to kind of start running OCR. Just because the underlying OCR libraries kind of have to catch up with each other if you're switching back and forth really quickly. So here, we'll just kind of scroll it a little bit, give it a few seconds here, and then you can see that it's starting to recognize things. So here, for example, this is Europe, kind of just slang in Russian that we have. There's kind of this this channel that we've uploaded for different references. So we do now support a foreign language. We're really excited about this. We'll be supporting more over the years, of course, based on kind of the community and customer needs. But very excited that we actually do support this now. It's very simple to kind of turn on, like I showed before. The one nuance with this is that it really will only work with annotated information, or if you have a thing like Google Translate or another integration running where it will take in strings or capture strings in real time. So you want to make for sure that you're either annotating this information or you have some integration that actually subscribes to that data. So very, very, very excited about this. Some other little things I want to just kind of showcase here real fast is this is a new kind of shortcut key. So we have our on-demand only. Previously, our on-demand was control or command C shift. We actually changed that to make it a little bit easier. So anybody upgrading to our 3.4.1 client or our 4.1 client, which is our Cyrillic client, if you are upgrading, you'll be brought with this prompter to say, hey, if you want to switch to this new shortcut key, it's just Command or Control C, and you hold it for about 800 milliseconds a second or so with that highlighted information, and it will run an on-demand query for you. So that is kind of an upgrade path, trying to make that user experience that much simpler, especially if you're a Mac user like I am. If you run Control C Shift in the wrong order, it will actually pop up the dev tools on Mac. So we wanted to kind of make that experience that much better. And then with that, I'm going to kind of jump over into some really new cool things we do with integrations and showcase some new integrations that we have. So I'm going to kind of go through, again, this is just kind of a new way to configure and kind of set up Polarity. I'm going to turn some different things off, turn some different things on here, just so I can kind of run through some of these new integrations for folks. So just going to, again, run here. This is just a kind of a curated list of just some information just to kind of showcase these different integrations running. Again, I'm going to hold Control C. With our integration framework, it is very expansible, and we're really starting to kind of take advantage of that expansion stuff now. So here, this is actually not quite released yet, but one integration I'm going to showcase here is this Cortex XOR IOC submission. So we have this new submission capabilities that we're adding to tips and different platforms that kind of are allow or enable that submission type piece. We've always kind of had it a little bit before with MISP. You could add some things, you could change, you could add comments, you can update scores and different tips and things like that. But with this IOC submission, it actually allows you to do things in bulk. So you can select a whole bunch of different indicators, run Command C, hold the short key down, and then it will tell you what is in that tip slash, in XOR's case, since they do have indicators that soar, and then what is not in that. And then you can very easily kind of consume that information. You can link out to that information, or if you want to add it and kind of take different actions, you can do so. You can add all of them here, and it will add it to be submitted. You can then kind of add those different details that you have. And the really cool thing with XOR that we're doing now, again, this should be coming out early next week from an integration aspect, is not only are we doing kind of indicators, but we're also doing this incident piece too. So you have the ability to run playbooks on multiple different things. So right now I just pulled in these IP addresses here. I can say anything I want to. I can select an incident type here to be run against. I can set a severity for it. I'm clicking too fast. So. And then I can submit those incidents to be added. And then once they are added, you'll see that you have that kind of incident, and it pulls in the other capabilities. Not only do we have the incident capability in XOR, we have this indicator capability too. So as you can see, none of these are actually indicators in XOR. I can very easily just add them and then submit them as an indicator type. Another form of this, which I'm going to kind of showcase here, is MISP. So MISP is another tip that we have. We also support this with Threat Quotient, Threat Connect, and Anomaly Threat Stream. So most of the tips that are out there, we have this new kind of IOC submission capability. As a user, you can delete things if you have access to be able to delete them. You can add them and then submit those different indicators in bulk to your tip here. So some other really fun kind of nice integrations that we've added. Spur is one. I know Spur is starting to get a lot of steam in the open source community. I'm really excited about this integration that's out there. You can just go to spur.io. Another integration that we've added here is kind of this OSINT pivot. It's a very simple integration. It just takes an indicator and allows you to pivot out to some of the most well-accessed sites that are out there. So instead of having to have tabs for all of these different websites, you can now just run the OSINT pivot integration, and Polarity will link you straight to that and then start searching it for you. So for example, here, if I didn't have the Shodan integration running, I can just do Shodan search and that site wasn't found. You can do abuse IPDB lookup, and it'll direct you right to that information that you need instead of having to go to these different sites and search it. So that's another really fun integration we have. And then finally, another one that I want to highlight here is our new HackerOne integration. So for folks that are on vulnerability management teams that use HackerOne, that have kind of HackerOne platform, we have the ability to integrate with it now. It's what it does, it looks up domains and CWE types and tells you information about them inside of your sandbox. You can see what CWEs are associated with. You can see if there's any reports that have been submitted and who the reporters are. So if I have reported this, you can see kind of the report information around it. So kind of opening up those new capabilities with integrations. And then finally, one I'm really excited about, this is going to come out in the next few weeks. We are starting an integration with CyberChef. This is just kind of a quick preview. Our developers actively working on this right now. We're basically taking all of the different capabilities that are inside of CyberChef and allowing a user to execute those right through an integration. So you'll be able to execute the magic function and then kind of build out your recipe on whatever you need to do right from within the Polarity overlay window. You can save that, you can share it, you can do all the different types of stuff like you could within CyberChef. We're just kind of putting that capability within the overlay window, kind of like our epoch time and our decoder integrations, but on kind of a whole other level. So definitely be on the lookout for when that is released. Very excited about this new integration coming. And then finally, just to kind of run through the last little piece that I want to talk about is support for SAML. So for folks that use SAML authentication or a different provider for kind of that authentication, we do now support this within our platform. It is a breaking change. That's why we went from 3.4.1 to 4.1 for new things. So it is a breaking change for our server and our client. So they're not backwards compatible with each other. If you're running a 4, you can't connect to 3. If you're running a 3, you can't connect to a 4. I'm really excited about the new capability. We integrate with pretty much any SAML provider out there. One login, ping, Okta, Azure, really pretty much any SAML provider, since it is kind of a standard across things. Fairly easy to set up. You just need to have a few different things. Endpoint URL, which is of course that IDP's URL, the certificate from the IDP. You have the ability to kind of control with what this says. You could say, sign in with my stuff, whatever that is. That's the button that users are going to see when they go to sign in. So an admin has the ability to kind of set that up. And then a few other things that are needed are just the username, email, and full name, which is different attributes you can pass through from your IDP. And then of course we support different groups. So very excited about this new capability with SAML, but it is a breaking change for us. So just kind of wanted to highlight that again for users. And then with that, going to kind of jump back over to the slides here and announce our community contributor of the quarter. So our community contributor of the quarter is Ben Ruffley with the Procter & Gamble team. He's a senior digital forensics and incident response manager. I'm very excited. He's been a great community contributor, provided a lot of different useful information for the product, really kind of helped us tailor different integrations, different features and things like that. So again, very excited to announce Ben as our community contributor of the quarter. With that comes a nice t-shirt, and we are working on challenge coins. We don't quite have them developed, but once we have them, we'll have a Polarity challenge coins that we will be sending to the previous community contributors of the quarter. And then finally, how to contribute to the community. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. We have kind of our public ideas portal through polarity.ideas.aha.io. Use AHA, which is kind of a product management application. You can join our Slack community. If you're interested in that, we can send that to you afterwards. Or of course, you can just email your customer success rep, whoever your rep is here at Polarity, you can email them directly. You can email customer success at polarity.io, or you can just email me directly, JOEM@polarity.io. Absolutely love to hop on a call at any point in time with a community user or a regular enterprise user. It doesn't matter. Always love to hear feedback from the community because it does nothing but really help kind of shape our roadmap and shape the future of Polarity and how people are using. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and kind of jump over to the QA aspect. So it looks like we have a few questions. One is, what new features can we expect to see in the next year? That's a great question. Some new features we're going to be working on, very excited about, are ability to annotate things like attachments. So having the ability to add a PDF to an annotation, so you see this IP address, you'll have a PDF associated with it. If you see an image, you'll be able to take an image, add it to an annotation. I'm kind of opening up that annotation framework. With that, later this year, we're starting the process now. So if anybody's interested in kind of becoming a part of our design and overall committee, let me know, can add you to that. But we're actually taking our annotations and opening up that capability to be more notes-like. So you'll be able to take a note on things, add keywords, set different topics, and just kind of have more free-forming notes that you can collaborate with people on, instead of just kind of annotation tag pieces. So very excited about that. We do have a new kind of way to interact with recognition coming. We're calling it kind of the snippet tool. Is what you'll be able to do is, I don't know if folks are familiar with the Command-Shift-4 on Mac, or the print screen screenshots that you can use through Windows. basically take a quick snippet. But with Polarity, you'll be able to do that. And inside of that area that you have on your screen, you'll be able to run an on-demand search. You'll be able to copy out the text. So if it's an image, you'll be able to copy that text out through our OCR capabilities. You'll be able to run stream or HUD mode or highlight mode on that particular section of your screen as well. Super excited about that. Also going to be kind of creating an app store, working on an app store that'll be coming. So if you're a CE user, you'll be able to kind of select your different integrations that are happening, or if you're an admin or just regular user of Polarity Enterprise, you'll be able to request integrations for your admin to install, or an admin can just quickly see all of our store that's currently on our website and just install them right then and there. So that's another really exciting feature that we're going to be working on this year. And then, of course, so as I alluded to before, we just support Russian Cyrillic right now. We are kind of foreign. So the question is, will there be any changes / improvements to the recognition / foreign language sets? We're going to always be working on improving the recognition. As you can see, it was a little bit slower in comparison to some of the other ones. And some of the other ones equaling English. That's because we're switching back and forth. So we're going to be really kind of enhancing those capabilities there, and just improving the overall recognition. We have a computer scientist who's a computer vision expert on staff, and he's really always trying to enhance our recognition and make it better for all users. And be able to support different foreign language sets. That is really going to come down to different customer requests. So this is where the community really comes into play. If you do have foreign language sets that you need to utilize in your day-to-day, let us know and we will add that to the roadmap. Some things like Mandarin or Japanese or Farsi will take a little bit longer from a roadmap perspective, just because of how the underlying OCR libraries work. So those are the only 2 questions I have. I'll kind of open it up again. If anybody else has any questions, I think there's a Q&A section down there. And if nobody does, really thank you all for attending the session. And again, if you're interested more in being a part of the community, shoot me an email. We can send you the Slack information, as well as always just shoot me an email and we can jump on a call at any point in time. So thank you all very much for joining, and have a good rest of your Thursday.